What's up, guys? Coming at you from Shenzhen as usual, and quick updates from the ground in terms of what it's like to be here with coronavirus in the air, so to speak. And there are a few, let me start with some updates from Shenzhen actually. So there's a few positive things coming out of Shenzhen in terms of cure rates, in terms of how many people are recovering from this after they've been diagnosed with coronavirus, to the point where Shenzhen's even started to share their data with other provinces and cities in terms of their treatment regimen, all the way down to how they disinfect the gardens, the building complexes that these people live in who were confirmed as having coronavirus. And a little bit of a coincidental kind of piece of news, because after I made my video yesterday where I spoke about my own personal kind of biggest fears in terms of when this hits its peak, the highest number of cases, whether it be in mid-February like some of the estimates here, or whether it be in hopefully not April like some of the later estimates from overseas. But when we reached that point, my biggest fear was not having enough hospital space here and just the medical staff being overwhelmed. And after I did that video, a friend of mine here in China shared an article with me, and he hadn't seen my video, which makes it coincidental, where the article actually showed they're building one of these temporary hospitals in Shenzhen, just like they did in Wuhan. And this one temporary hospital will have more beds than the two hospitals in Wuhan combined. Now, I know a lot of people are going to jump to conclusions with that in terms of saying, oh, well, that confirms it, that this is way bigger than people think. And I can understand that mindset from kind of a Western perspective in terms of when we look at our more reactive system, or at least the speed that our infrastructure projects operate at. But Shenzhen, and a lot of cities in China for that matter, have always been kind of planning in advance in terms of infrastructure. A really good example of that here in Shenzhen is one of the main big roads, Shenan Boulevard, runs through kind of the main part of the city. When they were building that, a lot of people said, why are we building such a big road? And now we know why. We kind of grew into it. And I mean, obviously people are going to think what they're going to think, but they've actually put a lot of live streams up in terms of building these hospitals, and there were live streams on the Wuhan hospital as they started kind of sending patients into there. Some of those live streams were even up on YouTube. So there's a lot of resources available for people to challenge their idea that this is a cover-up, but not a lot of people want to do that. They just kind of want to stop at that, and that's fine. I don't want to get into that too much. Now, that particular hospital that's being built, there may be a chance in my channel that we can go and see it firsthand, because I've been working on something over the last few days with a great guy from Vancouver named Gary, who's done so much groundwork for this and research, where I've wanted to personally acquire some masks, N95 masks, and donate it to the hospitals here. If I were to donate it to Wuhan, there's a lot more requirements involved in terms of certifications and paperwork, and I think that's kind of understandable. That's ground zero. They want to make sure that these masks are not coming from shoddy suppliers, or they've been compromised somehow, or they have incorrect certifications. And so that's understandable, but for different areas like Shenzhen, it's a little bit more relaxed. That's not to say the standards are different. They still require the same standards, but I think there's just a little bit less paperwork involved. And there is a potential chance where Shenzhen will have a shortage at some point also if this continues to grow at the same rate that it is. So I wanted to get some masks in, and I'm not sure if I can ship it directly to the hospital. In terms of shipping, I should actually mention there's some really awesome stories of a lot of shipping companies stepping up to the plate and offering free shipping to China for anything that's being donated related to coronavirus. Now, I think a lot of them are mostly doing free shipping to Wuhan, but I'm still looking into that as a possibility, because that would allow me to put more of my kind of budget for this towards the masks itself rather than the shipping, which I think will be expensive also. But if I can't get it shipped directly there, I'm looking at some different options, like potentially shipping it to Hong Kong, going over and picking it up and taking it over to the hospital. I've been in contact with some friends who know some people there, and they've said, you know, if I'm concerned they'll come across the street to pick it up, I can park at the side of the road, because that was one of my concerns, even though I might be a little bit over paranoid in that regard. But if I do end up going over there to deliver it, or even if I send somebody else over who's going over there already on a regular basis, I'll try to get some video of that for you. However, one of the biggest challenges I'm facing right now is actually finding a quality supplier who can actually supply us. Gary, the friend I mentioned in Vancouver, he's reached out to a lot of them, and many of them are not accepting new clients, are not even answering their phones because they're so overwhelmed. And the few kind of places that do have it, it's pretty darn expensive. You know, something like, I think he said $21 for 20 masks. You know, my budget for this is like $5,000 to $10,000, and that's not going to go really far if they're that expensive. Gary did mention that the prices are this high not to deliberately price gouge or take advantage of the whole situation, even though that's a pretty reasonable assumption, but that it's to prevent people from hoarding it. I don't know, but whatever the case may be, these are my biggest challenges. So what else? What other updates are there? Things are being taken really seriously on the ground here. I had a friend who went over to his office not too far from here, and he went in with his wife to pick up some stuff from the office. And within a few minutes, somebody from building management came up and said, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" and asking for all of their details. And so after they explained themselves and explained that they're a couple from the same family, because that's one of the concerns they have with these offices, is people coming back to work and mixing with each other. After he learned that, he says, okay, listen, guys, get whatever you need and get out in 10 minutes. Nobody's supposed to be coming back to work right now. And if you do have to come back and you do have something really urgent that you've got to pick up, only send one person and be in and out within, I can't remember what the time was, he said, like 10 or 20 minutes or something like that. So they're taking it really seriously. And there are some really great stories and some really unfortunate stories in terms of people participating in this. So you've got people, I remember seeing a video of a family that came back from Hubei, and not in Shenzhen, in another area, and they self-quarantined themselves, and they're staying locked away for the 14-day period or whatever it is. Even to the point when officials came by to check on them and ask them some questions, they didn't even open the door. They opened their window, their ground floor window, to speak with them. And there are some unfortunate stories, like there was a 64-year-old man who was very dishonest about having passed through Wuhan, or it might have been Hubei in general, and even outright lied to people. And now it turns out he does have coronavirus, and he has cross-infected apparently multiple doctors from what I heard last, and also implicated about 100 people around him who had close contact with him who were not told by him that he went through Hubei province. And that's really, it's really annoying and just frustrating, because there's so many people trying to participate in controlling this, and then you got people like this who are just kind of messing it up for everybody else. But you know, hopefully that story serves as a really great example to people as to why you got to be really transparent with this, why the risk is far higher than you might imagine. And we can just hope for the best in terms of cooperation. What else is there? I think there are probably a bunch of other things I'm forgetting as usual when I just kind of turn on the camera and speak on the fly. But because I'm trying to do daily videos more or less, and hopefully we'll keep up with that, if I forgot something that was important enough, I will probably pop it in the next video. So until then, guys, stay safe, and I will catch you in the next video.